Okay. Pre-show. What's up, Brad?
Huh?
Where's your picture, Brad?
Here and here.
Sure. Oh. Hey, Tony. I forgot my headphones. So, Mel,
Use mine.
come here and talk while
Turn
I...
the fan on. Use my
Oh,
headphones.
whoops. Sorry, I bet that helps. The fan was on. I suppose you could put a picture. Yeah, you could. What's up, Brittany? Good morning. Thanks. Where's the cord?
I don't know. You stole it.
Oh, here. Talk to people. Alright, you're not going to talk to people. That's cool. Get comfy. Get a cup of coffee. Hey, Deb. See you tomorrow, girlfriend.
Small talk is not my thing.
Hey. Alright, thank you. I feel fancy using these. Deb, are you trying to do homework right now? And by that I mean, because we're gonna hang out tomorrow. All right. Hello. Not plugged in. Check, check. Hello. Man, these beats sound great. I would love to listen to some of my EDM, electronic dance music.
They're
on
so
these.
much better than the other ones.
They should be. They were $400. Hello, check. Good morning. Good morning. All right.
Check.
Let's see. Paul and Robin, if you listen to this later, can't wait to see you in about 5 hours. You're probably 20,000 feet in the air right now. Looking forward to hanging out. Okay. All right, Mel, let's go. Let's do this. All right. Good morning. Hey, Michelle. Do you guys have any questions this morning? Today we're talking about lust, anxiety, and am I really in love? And Deb, the sex therapist, if you have any input, please feel free to do so. All right. Let's do this. Let's do this
You
thing.
scoot over.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this thing. It would be nice to have enough space to not have to be like this all the time when we film.
Well,
Or like pushed to the bed. how
That's
we always
the-
are. Check.
what's up, Linda? That's the
Price you pay.
plight of having an iPhone for a camera, I guess, right?
Seagull.
What?
Oh,
Be gone.
no. Peace be with
Clouds.
you.
Peace
Check.
be with you. I don't
Check.
think so.
Okay, you're checking
Poop.
levels.
Poop be with you. Poop be on you.
Pieces of
Hello?
fish
Hello?
be
Check,
with
check,
you.
check. That's
Check.
good.
Okay.
The Ginger Corral. What's up? The Ginge? The Ging? I don't know. Good morning from South Florida.
Good
Hello.
morning.
South Florida, like the Keys or Miami or Fort Lauderdale or where? What?
I don't know. Just read that. It says I'm interested to hear about the Am I Really in Love one. It's going to be a good question.
It will
And
be.
it goes back to our first years of dating in season 1. So,
Really?
yeah. Anyway. Oh, get off my cords.
All right.
McCord.
McCord. West Palm. Oh, West Palm is so cool.
I ain't been there.
Been there a couple times.
Right.
Played some shows there.
Ready?
All right. I was at the beach Sunday. A seagull pooped on my date's beach chair. Ooh.
A seagull stole Seth's mom's pizza out of her hand. Like she
Yeah.
was talking and she had a pizza in her hand and it just went, wah!
Ginge like ginger, fill a redhead. That's funny. A crow stole my sandwich out of my golf cart when I was playing golf one time. Paul, what are you doing watching? You should be in the air, bro.
He probably is. You can get internet in the air.
Oh yeah,
Or
Mr.
he's not taken off yet.
Mr. First Class.
I love seagulls. I have a tattoo of a seagull. I love them.
Yeah.
You can't see it. I call him Dr. Dan. You
Dr.
can't
Dan.
see it.
Hey,
Dr.
it's
Dan Siegel.
Bacon, egg, and grits.
It's the best. Bacon, egg, and grits here.
Mary says
Come on.
awkward. Yeah, but it was awkward.
Okay, are we
What do you
ready?
do with that poop there? Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today is day 56, titled Lust, Anxiety, and Am I Really in Love?
If you're new here, welcome. We have over 270 episodes about all things relationship and marriage related, and we are here because we got through a crappy crap, and we want you to get through your crappy crap.
That's right.
And as always, our show is brought to you by Audible. We love audiobooks. Right now, I am reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I have avoided that book like the plague.
Really?
Because
Why?
it's old. It was written in 1922.
Yep.
And I was like, ew, boring, Boresville. And I am so in love with it. I really haven't been reading it very long. Oh, it's an audiobook.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm talking about it is because it's freaking amazing. I want everybody to go read it. And you can get a free audiobook when you visit audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. So thank you, Audible, for supporting our show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Napoleon Hill, for writing an amazing book
I want to
100 years
say
ago.
that I read that book. I've read that book 3 times. 3 times. And I'm going to read it again. I'm going to start it again today because it is so powerful.
It's amazing.
It is so very powerful. And it's almost romantic to me in a way. I know that sounds weird, but it's like, this makes
Yeah, like the guy
so
whose
much
son
sense.
had no ears. It's so romantic.
Oh.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's it.
visit
That's it.
audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get your free audiobook on us because we love for you to learn too.
That's right.
As
200.
always,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we read a review every day. I don't know what we do. 200 what?
I was going to say 270 episodes. That is a lot of episodes. That is a lot of wisdom. That is a lot of growth that we have had on our part, and we have shared that with you guys because we are continuing to make the podcast that we wish we had
Yes.
years ago. And you know what? I'm reframing this. I am wanting to make the podcast and create content that I wish I had now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when we speak it, when we journal it, when we write it, when we talk about it, it's doing something for us.
We're
So
in it to win it for
that's-
everything.
Yeah, that's right. And it's hard and sucks.
It's not hard and it doesn't
Sometimes.
suck. What a gift and a blessing.
I'm just saying it's hard and it's real. That's all. But we're of course live on Facebook and Instagram. So send in your questions and we will answer them
And
accordingly.
this review of the day makes me super excited. It's at the very end, but don't cheat and follow. So
Okay.
go ahead and read it.
Okay, review of the day, 5 stars by Stephen Henning. Thanks, buddy. A semi-daily show worth listening to daily. I'm not sure.
Just keep talking.
Being an avid podcast listener, probably addict, who has subscribed to over 200 shows, AOM is one of the few shows that is always bumped to the top of my queue as soon as a new episode are up. The playful and energetic dynamic between hosts Melanie and Seth motivates me to take ownership of my emotional health so that I can show up to my marriage in the most healthy, grounded way. From the highly produced season 1 and now their semi-daily Q&A format, these two know how to normalize what is stigmatized, encourage those who are discouraged, and call the crap out that deserves to be exposed and remedied. Each episode is packed with good source material like audiobooks, other podcasts, and articles that are all meant to motivate. Each conversation leaves me feeling inspired to change, hopeful for a deep and rich marriage, and excited for all sorts of bright futures. This podcast is worth more than catching the golden snitch in Quidditch. 150 points and more to Gryffindor.
Yay! Just the Gryffindor points.
That's
Keep
right.
it going, people. If you rate and review the podcast, please tell me how many Gryffindor points we have earned.
Oh my goodness.
I am a total Harry Potter nerd,
That is
by the
funny.
way. But I didn't read them as a child. I read them as an adult, which is even weirder.
I don't know. You and millions of other trillions of people. Hello, Joy George. Good morning.
Hello.
What's up, Alex? Okay. Go
All right.
ahead and read the first question. We're diving right in. This is interesting.
I am excited about this one. I mean, it's a really crappy, hard question, but I was excited about it. So it says, can a wife expect to be the exclusive desire of her husband, or is that expectation too high? What is the difference between temptation, desire, and lust? I know the difference between temptation and lust, but where does desire fit into this? We've been married for 15 years. We have 5 kids, and I found out that my husband has been using porn throughout our entire marriage, and it's been hell trying to work this out. In trying to work through this, he said many hurtful things to me like, men like skin, get used to it. I have to convince myself every day that I am beautiful. I'm like salad, what is good for me and healthy, and hot girls are like dessert. They're unhealthy and gluttonous. He has said he's tempted every day by other women. Is this normal? He gets upset when I say I want to be his exclusive desire and basically says he's a man and that's not possible. I'll stop here because I could go on and on. I've not handled this perfectly by any means. I'm very angry and pretty shut down to our relationship. I just don't know what my role is in this. I don't really want to be close to a man or pursue a man that feels these things about me and other women. And somehow he's turned it all around and says he's the one that's hurt, and if I'd fix myself, all of our problems would get better and our marriage would heal. He can be very sweet to me, but the last 2.5 years he has ruined my view of him and men in general. I am at a loss. He's an 8 and I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. I've always felt pretty run over in our marriage, but always just kept the peace. I feel like crap has hit the fan, and now I'm putting my foot down and speaking up, and now that he's crossed the line, so to speak. I've become very disenchanted with marriage and don't understand why men get married if they're just going to desire other women every day. Thank you for any help that you can give. So, this sucks, and I'm really sorry. And it is freaking so common. It's terrible, and I'm sorry for that as well. But here's the thing that immediately came to my mind. In the very beginning of your question, you say, can a wife expect to be the exclusive desire of her husband, or is that too high? What's the difference between temptation, desire, and lust? So I looked up the definition of temptation, desire, and lust. And then I added a fourth one that I think is really missing in this conversation. The definition of temptation is the desire to do something especially wrong or unwise. The definition of desire is strongly wish for or want something. The definition of lust is very strong sexual desire. So you mentioned those three words: desire, temptation, lust. The word you did not mention is commitment. The state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. Right? There's a difference with all of these things and the concept of commitment and how that plays a role in our marriages. What are your thoughts on that? My nose itches.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this. Like Melanie, I am sorry that 15 years and using porn the entire time, that is a big shock. And using an excuse like, well, I'm just a man, get used to it. That's easy. That's too easy, right? So I'm not going to stand for that, because that's like saying, oh, well, I don't know, just insert
I just love cotton candy. Bring on the diabetes.
Insert lame excuse here, or like normalized and culturalized excuse, right? Unfortunately, that is the norm, but it shouldn't be, and that's not the end all be all kind of thing. Let's see. I think that also his view of if you would just XYZ, then I would just XYZ.
No.
That's not very strong. That's not very powerful. That's not very sovereign, right?
I keep thinking of, it's like The Big Leap is a book that we have recently read. It's an Audible book. You can get it on Audible. But it's called The Big Leap, and they talk about this concept of an upper limit problem, which when I first heard it, I was like, this is a weird voodoo talk. What are we talking about, right? I just remember being like, I don't get it.
Everything is voodoo.
I love the word voodoo and witchcraft, okay?
Stop saying witchcraft.
Why?
Because
I think it's funny.
Hey, Lily.
I mean, witches are real. We're not talking about that right now.
Okay.
And I love every 80s movie that has witches.
We're definitely not talking about that.
And Hercules. Anyway, Hercules has the witches. But anyway, so I think of the upper limit problem, and it is in the book, The Big Leap. I'm going to say it again because it's so good. The Big Leap, Upper Limit Problem. Gay Hendricks.
Gay Hendricks.
So the upper limit concept is, well, this is the highest standard. Let's say where my hand is. This is as high as I can ever go. So forget getting to the 5th floor of a building. I will always be on the 3rd. And anything above the 3rd, that's just too much.
It'd be nice to get there, but I don't see myself there.
Yeah. Oh, but my life's too hard, or I've had too hard of a childhood, or that's too much, or blah, blah, blah. And you limit yourself. You literally put a cap on how high you can go and what you can achieve and what you can do. Our upper limits are often things that are like, well, this is way easier than, like an upper limit in this situation is, well, marriage is hard. I'll just look at porn. So much easier. There it is. So that's the cap to which your husband will always get, is the height of which he is. It's, what is it? The something of our training is as far as we'll go.
We will always perform or rise to the level of our training.
Yes. So your husband's level of training is exceptionally low, and he's using that as a reason to not do the hard work of getting beyond that.
But also, as a therapist, I want to say, okay, what is this replacing? What is this getting his mind off of? What other anxiety? What other self-imposed shortcoming? What other trauma even? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we're definitely not saying that it's a validated way to get his mind off of those things.
No, but as a therapist, I literally can't not think about, okay, well, what is the reason for this? Which it drives me bonkers because I try to figure out my own stuff. I'm like, I don't know, it's too much to think about. But in other people, I can look at that objectively, right? So what is the reason for it? What are, let's see, your reasons about being a 9, and how does it feel? Because I'm a 9, and I died yesterday listening to the 9 song thinking I gauge myself through other people's eyes, and which is excruciating at times. So I can really understand this woman's pain about that, oh my goodness, my husband doesn't even think this about me, or his desire is not for me. Well, what does that mean for me? And that's really hard. So I think maybe foremostly, I would suggest you go into individual counseling, and then also both of you going to couples counseling, probably through a different therapist. Sometimes that's more helpful, but just working through your own stuff, isolated from your husband. Even like I don't want you to talk about your husband's stuff. I want you to talk about your stuff as a 9 and your feelings around this, and then also consider marriage counseling.
Yeah, and I would say, and this is going to sound weird, like it might not be possible, but I want to throw this idea out there. I am a 7-8 wing, and I have a tendency to be like an 8 when I'm pissed. I like to say it like that.
Yeah, that is funny.
I have a tendency to be that way when I'm angry. So I get it. I get what an 8 is doing when they're like, oh, this is what I'm doing. I don't care about your world. I'm in my world, right? I get it. I get what your husband is probably thinking and feeling, unfortunately. But as a 9, because you're trying to gauge everything on someone else's emotions, you're worried about how they feel, you're worried about how you're going to make them feel, you're in this extremely powerless, not intentionally, but like, I feel like you get this, you do this too, where you're like, it's like just going, oh, I don't know. And you just kind of drop everything and go, I don't even know what to do. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you what to do. And if it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. Just ignore my advice. I don't care if it works or not. I just think that it might be helpful. You will lay out what you want to see in your marriage. Don't worry about his feelings. Don't worry about what he's going to say back. Do it when he's not there. You can even use the clearing structure at anatomyofmarriage.com. Click on the tools of marriage icon thing on the middle of the screen, and you will find the clearing structure. You can use clearing structure, and you can say, these are the things that I want. You stop looking at porn. Draw that line. You can draw that line. It doesn't matter how he feels about it. You can say that's what you want, right? Don't look at porn. Don't tell me I'm the problem in our marriage anymore. Say it. I mean, I know that sucks and you're not going to want to, but you're at least telling him what you think and what you feel and what you want, right? You're not saying, you're stupid, you did this. You're saying what you as a 9 want.
And how about this? Also, listen with the ears of, you have permission to say what you want. Melanie is giving you permission right now. I'm giving you permission right now. And just like this podcast is like, okay, you know what? I need to go back and listen to this and give my own self permission to do exactly what Melanie is saying. That sounds weird. It's not like Melanie has this whatever over me, but as a 9, I need to give myself permission to do stuff at work, to do stuff in the community, to do stuff over here. I need to give myself permission to give myself permission. Does that even sound crazy?
No, it sounds fine. It makes sense. But I do want to address the desire for other women part of it.
Oh, right.
And like another word I added as we were talking was accountability. So you had desire, temptation, lust. Those are your 3 words. My 2 words are commitment and accountability. If you want a healthy and thriving marriage, those are things you need. I don't care who you are, what you do, how much money you make, whatever. You need accountability and commitment. Or just do something different. Like, don't be married if that's not what you're going to do. But I do think the temptation to look at other people is always there. If you feed a temptation, it will always be hungry for more, right? So your husband's saying, what, I can't help it. It's because he's flipping feeding it, right? He can't help it because he's actually keeping it alive. Whether or not he thinks, I say thinks with air quotes, he can stop, is his upper limit. I mean, it's his own deal. If he thinks he can't stop, he's not going to stop. You can't make him think he's going to stop.
I was in a counseling session with a person yesterday, and they were saying, so I'm not going to get into too many details, but the idea of like, well, I can't do that. I cannot do that. I'm like, you don't want to do that.
Busted.
And he was like, yeah, that's exactly right. I'm like, I don't want to run 5 miles right now. Can I absolutely do it? Yes, there is literally nothing stopping, right? It's not that you can't do that. You think you can't, but that's a lie. It's not even a lie. It's just like, believing 1 + 1 = 3. It's like, no, you don't want to. That's all.
Yeah, and I think too.
So I would say to this guy, it's like, no, you're not just, dude's being a dude. It's like, no, you don't want to change.
Yeah, that's exactly
and once you admit that, if you admit that, what does that even mean? Oh, I'm a crappy dude. Or whatever, I don't know. I'm not judging or anything, but it's like, do you want to not do that?
Yeah, and I will say to the wife specifically, your identity is not in this problem, right? I know that sounds super weird. Oh, I hate that sentence. because I wish someone had
Why
said
do you
that to
hate
me.
it? What do you mean?
Because when we went through all of the crap we went through, like if you haven't listened to season 1, listen to season 1 because this is like the inciting incident of our story. Is Seth admitted to lying and looking at pornography, and I lost my freaking mind because my entire identity was what the church had made me believe. I am the apple of Seth's eye. I am the daughter of the king. Like, I'm so special. And I had no basis of reality of like, oh, there are other beautiful women in this world and Seth might see one and he might have a thought about one, right? Like, I wish that someone had told me my identity was not wrapped up in what Seth's choices are. Like, Seth could choose right now to burn this apartment building down. Is it my fault? No. He could probably even make me think it's my fault, but it's not.
Right.
Like, my identity as a person is not wrapped up in what he does.
Like, we as adults do this, but it is such childish thinking. Like, I could say, like, if I was mad that I burned the apartment down, I could say, you gave me the matches. You didn't hide the matches. You know, you're the one that bought the matches and brought them home from the store.
There was a guy who was tearing flowers out of our apartment beds because he was mad at, like, his girlfriend on the phone the other night. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean...
Ding dong, knock it off.
And I'm just thinking of, like, times when we have 100% said that.
Absolutely.
Those things. Well, you shouldn't have... You didn't hide the matches.
You made me.
I mean, and then I think about just the direct correlation to the childish thinking, and like literally our kids, our children, your children, if you have kids, say things exactly like that. And as a parent, you're thinking, you're on Mars, you have zero idea what you're talking about, right? And you want to get mad and all this stuff. Obviously, that doesn't work or is helpful, but it's like childish thinking. Like if I'm blaming my wife for anything, really, I mean, sure, she's like a crazy bee that is literally not nice to me or whatever. I'm like, ugh, that sucks.
Yeah.
It literally triggers feelings in me of like worthlessness or all this stuff. I'm not happy, right? But if I say, well, went gambling, you know, well, I'm out of here, went cheated, you know, or did whatever, it's because you didn't do that. You didn't stop me. It's like, no, that's not how it works, people.
Yeah, so there's a lot in this question. Thank you for asking. It's really hard. There's comments in our thing.
Somebody says, he is 100% responsible for how he reacts to his surroundings. He's blaming her for porn, but she doesn't have a gun to his head. If he wants her to be better by his standards, maybe he can try facilitating. Yeah, kind of like cultivating, you know, a relationship. I am the apple of Seth's eye, I'm Butter the king. That's funny. Lily says, yes, makes so much sense. Deb Thomas says, I like how you guys are introducing other words. This isn't just about desire. It would be great for her to learn more about desire and arousal. Come As You Are, book by Emily Nagoski. To learn about desire. Yeah, high desire, low desire, brakes, accelerators. If you come to our thing tomorrow night, Deb will illustrate all these great points. Because she's awesome. Okay,
we're going to try something that might not work. We have a voicemail that we want to play.
Okay.
Where did it go?
Segueing, apparently.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to find it, but I super can't find it.
Clicking every button except the right one.
Where is it? You keep talking then.
Well, oh boy. You were totally...
We have a voicemail that I want to read, but now I can't find it. Read some more of these comments.
Well, let's see. I don't think there are more comments. Let's see. People send in some comments so I can talk about them. I'm just kidding. Brittany says, I've never seen or read Harry Potter. Ooh, yikes.
I used to think it was the dorkiest thing. I mean, I just really was like, this is so stupid. And my sister and her husband loved it and talked about it all the time, and I was like, oh, whatever, nerd. And then I started reading the books, like actual reading, like not audiobooks, like I actual read the physical books, and I was so addicted to it, like I couldn't stop.
Hashtag Harry Potter to this episode.
Right.
Get a million new listeners. I wish flights were not so much from Minnesota to SeaTac. We'd love to come to the end. Yeah, we would love you to do that too.
Hi.
Hold on.
Thank you so much for your work.
Playing a voicemail.
I have just learned about you, and
can y'all hear this?
I've listened to probably 20 podcasts in a row over the last maybe week and a half. So thank you so much for your work.
Can you hear it?
I can't believe you have a voicemail option. That's amazing. My husband and I have been together for 9 years, and he suffers from anxiety, which he tried to address over 25 years ago. And I believe that this is an issue in his life that may be holding him back from being as happy as he can, and it also affects our marriage sometimes, as his anxiety keeps him from initiating things that have to do with small tasks around our house to large issues like addressing money. So we've talked about this issue before. I've tried to be a supportive partner and not fix it because I can't. I realize that. And he also has a lot of resistance around therapy of any kind, including pharmaceutical. So...
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. I don't know, it's like super hard for you to hear, but we can put it into the episode. I will actually put the audio into the episode so you can hear it really well. But he talks about her husband has anxiety, and he's resistant to taking medication, to going and seeing a therapist, but she's saying it's keeping him, like, perennially, it comes back every single year, specifically around the holidays, it's keeping him from doing things like helping out with the house or initiating things that she would like him to do.
So this comes at a certain time of year all the time, or is it pretty baseline for the whole year?
Don't ask me. I'm not the lady.
You listen to it.
Well, it doesn't say that, though. So she's saying she wants advice on she wants to be a great partner and help him. How do I walk through this anxiety with him and all of these things? So there was the very, very first thing that came to my mind was having had anxiety. Like, I think my family has anxiety, like, up and down and left and right and sideways and all day long. It is like everywhere.
It's a real simmering anxiety that I can see.
Like in all of my family, like cousins, uncles, aunts. Like
it affects everything.
Everything. So I really think that I didn't realize how much it was sort of pervasive in our entire family. But the thing that anxiety does often is it freezes people's brains, right? So that's fight, flight, freeze. Flee or whatever, I don't even know. But so it's like anxiety kind of flips our lid, but it's not a freak out flip your lid. It's like I don't know what to do. And you freeze because you have no idea what the next thing to do is, and you're scared. You're not afraid of a real thing. You're afraid of like a perceived thing. What if I get laughed at? This will feel uncomfortable. I'll do nothing instead. And so if you're saying that this is causing your husband to not initiate with things like housework, it could literally be as simple as he doesn't know what to do, what's expected, when to do it, how to do it, that kind of, like, it could be that simple. Because I guarantee you, if I was saying to you, would you just clean more? And then you tried, and I was like, I was not happy with how you cleaned or whatever. You would be like, how about I just go to work more? I know how to do that, right? So the very first thing, and this could be not even close to what you're talking about, but I think it's helpful anyway, is to create an expectation. Lovingly create an expectation. Things like charts are so helpful because the person doesn't have to think about what they need to do. They can look at the chart and go, oh, put socks away. Nailed it, right? Maybe it's load the dishwasher. Maybe, and this sounds demeaning, but it's not. It's extremely helpful. I make charts for myself and lists all the time.
It's very direct. There's no question okay, can it go this way or can it go this way? Not really, because I've set a very clear path of
what I want.
This.
Yeah, and you can create this together. This is not the wife does it, the husband just follows the orders. No, you create it together, unless that is creating more anxiety. Some people, so I used to be really bad at knowing how to do the thing that needed to be done, and I would just do whatever came into my brain first, which is something we talked about this morning. And there's a superpower when you can harness and hone in on what actually is helpful at a moment. But when someone has anxiety, it's almost impossible. They're like,
okay, so I'm changing kind of a gear here because your interventions are very direct.
This is one thought.
I know. So
one thought.
As a therapist, I would want to take a solution-focused point of view here. And a tenet of solution-focused therapy is like, okay, has it worked before? And we ask the question, when was the problem not a problem? So in this case, hey, tell me about a time when your husband was not anxious. All right, what was the antecedent? You know, the first 24 hours prior to that, right? What was the precursor to doing something successful? Oh, well, he wasn't anxious on a Thursday. Like, he got stuff done. Anxiety didn't come around. Okay, what happened on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before that, right? Well, maybe, we were kind, we were loving, we had sex, it was fairly low stress, he didn't talk to his parents, whatever, I don't know. But as a therapist, I would ask a million questions into all of that, okay? And then once we figure those things out, we try to recreate that. Okay, Thursday was good. Let's talk about things that we can do in the next couple of days to have another Thursday or to have a good Saturday or whatever.
You're
like that.
essentially saying, how can we set him up for success to not have anxiety?
Well, how can you replicate the things that happened that equaled a non-anxiety day?
Yes, yeah, that's helpful, and I think it can be journaling. Have like almost like a food journaling where you're like, oh, I ate this, I felt this.
Right.
Exercise, like writing down the things that on the good days, what were they? What was it?
Right.
Like, did he jog? Did he eat well? Did he sleep well?
You could think about it this way. Say like, okay, we had amazing sex, right?
We had amazing sex.
Okay, so what was the precursor to that? Oh,
Foreplay.
there was tons of foreplay. Oh, and guess what? The kids didn't freak out. Oh, I was intentional and got some wine, and you were intentional because 12 hours before then you were thinking, hey, it might be kind of cool to be intimate with my husband. So you were in the mindset. So we were putting on our accelerators and taking off our brakes.
Yeah.
And that could be a whole host of things. So you go, oh yeah, man, that was awesome sex. Okay, what happened before then? Let's replicate that.
Well, it's like building a sturdy set of stairs up to the thing you want to achieve,
Right.
as opposed to trying to like ramshackle some stilts together and be like, I
Right.
hope I don't fall.
And then
like,
if you look at those things and it results in what you want, you can begin to build systems and patterns into creating that life, all those precursors, 1 through 9 that equals 10, and then have more 10s.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say one thing too is work to the strong points. Like this is going to sound so weird, but like you're talking about anxiety a lot. Like, I don't know how to make him better, blah, blah, blah. I want to be a helpful wife and set him up. What does he do really well already? Can we work to his strengths and bolster his, I don't know what the opposite of anxiety is. Bolster his peace because we are working to his strengths, right? I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah.
But
Okay. I'm gonna read some comments. Our minds literally can't think in the freeze mode. Yeah, you can't. Establishing routines. Somebody says.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul Nick too. Oh my gosh, my husband as a 1 is so good at this. Let's see. To the person with anxiety, it does not feel demeaning. It feels freeing to have something like a chart.
Thank you for saying that.
Christina says always looking for solutions and prioritizing tasks.
Okay.
Read that one.
It says, I totally agree. I have had this conversation with my husband who also suffers from anxiety, and he has told me I don't see the house as a to-do list, but I am happy to help. Let's make a list of things that need done so when I have time, I can work on it. Yes. And that's there's freedom in not having to think or come up with it.
Wait a minute. One of our friends, Edwan is watching.
We
What's
love
up,
you.
Steven?
We want to go to Japan with you.
I have an iPod.
I have an iPod. Okay, anyway, so our last question is, hi, Melanie and Seth. Thanks for hosting such a great show. You're welcome. I'd like to ask about the discussion you both had all the way back at the end of episode 5 in season 1, where Seth was talking about his brain chemistry in the early years of our relationship. He said, it came as a shock. He said, I am not married, but I'm in a committed relationship with my girlfriend of several years. We have recently been discussing marriage. I had a mental spiral into anxiety and depression when we've talked about trying to get married. I don't even know how I did that. He said he's trying to pick up the pieces of that. The trigger for this breakdown was guilt at his own brain chemistry that he did not have experienced the infatuation stage. Remember you talking about that in season 1?
Phenylethylamine.
The phenylethylamine, like
Chemical,
dopamine
right.
and goodness. And we'll explain that in a minute. It says, I found it really difficult to find any examples of people with the same or similar experience to his that made it work. And if possible, I'd love to hear Seth talk about more about this experience and elaborate on how he eventually decided to get married to me.
Okay, so this is, and I remember talking about this on season 1 and kind of being very curt and probably
I made
ran
it really
the risk
funny, though.
of hurting your feelings, And so, okay, how can I say this? And I think that I have a fairly good understanding, and if you can understand it, you'd be like, oh, that's way better than it's not as bad as it sounds, right? So I dated a girl for like 5 years in college and like was really in love, right? Like the just the like dummy kind of like whatever.
The infatuation stage.
Phenylethylamine kind of thing, right? And we dated for 5 years and I was like, well, I don't know, get married. But if it was really in love, then I would have thought of like, yes, marry this person, do what I can to marry this person. But that wasn't it at all, right?
Yeah.
And although I was like really, phenylethylamine infatuated in love, I always felt in the back of my mind that marrying her would be a compromise, right? And I think I've told you that before.
I hope she's not watching.
Well,
I'm just
hopefully
kidding.
she's happy with who she's with. I
Yeah.
don't know. Doesn't look like it, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
No, I'm just
quiz.
kidding. And so like that, very unromantic here, but that kind of didn't really happen with us.
The
Like, we had-
phenylethylamine
yeah,
infatuation stage
like-
did not happen.
I'll be honest. I think that you were very critical and sarcastic in the very early stages of our marriage,
Not much has changed.
and you were very rough and not nice. So you kind of wouldn't allow that to happen. But I think you felt it towards me. I guess I'm not sure. But I knew it was like an easy decision to marry you, right? I like saw beyond all the whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm not infatuated, or well, I was because but it wasn't from like previous relationships. It's really hard to explain.
Well, okay, let me.
But I didn't feel like, oh, I'm compromising when I marry you. It's like, no, why wouldn't I? It's like it was a very easy decision. It wasn't. Well, it was hard because other people were saying no, you shouldn't, and that sucked, right? I was like, oh, great. But I knew, like, down in my very highest and best callings, like, to be with you. Does that make sense? So maybe that is romantic to you or whatever. Maybe I'm not sure if it sounds romantic because it's basically like I'm not in love, but I knew I should marry you.
Well, the thing that it makes me think of is the difference when the mindset change when you go to like a carnival and you're eating cotton candy and riding on rides and you're like, whatever, I'll eat anything. A caramel apple, sure. Elephant ear, yeah. But then you're like, oh, actually, I want to be a serious adult and have like longevity. I'll eat salad and work out. It's a totally different mindset, and it doesn't require the like ooh of a carnival to like kick A in your diet, right? I don't know if that makes any sense or if that made sense, but
Right.
I think it's interesting though because we did approach our dating relationship with intention. On our very first date, we sat down and we were like, if we're not gonna get married, let's not do this at all. That was literally what we said, sitting at Lake Wilderness in Maple Valley on a log. And we're like, if we're not going to get married, then I'm not going to date you. It's a waste of our time. He had spent 5 years dating someone he didn't marry. So that's a lot, right? And so there's a whole different element at play, I guess. And I don't, and another thing too, there's so many things to consider. Like there's pair bonding stuff. That's a whole different, that's like the level after infatuation is pair bonding growth. Like that's an actual scientific thing where
Right.
you're like, we have these experiences together. It grows our longevity as a couple because we've been through things, right? That's like people who go to war together. They have that pair bond, essentially that.
It's galvanizing experiences that are not forgotten. It's even, you could think about like neuroplasticity and stuff. It's like, okay, this rewires your brain. Like think about sometimes when you listen to a great podcast, our show, and you're cutting the grass or whatever, and we say something or something is said on a show, it's like, oh my gosh, I can remember in, I don't know, dozens of podcasts, not even hours, that I'm like, I literally remember exactly what I was looking
doing,
at.
yeah.
I was cutting the grass, and there was the right left tire, right rear tire was kind of flat, but I remember them talking about that thing.
Yeah.
And you remember very specifically.
Yeah, and that's just like the chemistry of how bonding works, right?
Right.
So that is more important than the infatuation stage. And people get addicted to infatuation stages and they cyclically date every 1 or
Right.
2 years, right? That's a thing that happens too. So, I mean, don't look at yourself and be like, oh, I don't have the infatuation stage. I must not love my girlfriend.
Right.
Right? Unless you really don't love your girlfriend, then set her free, right? If you have no intention of getting married to her, it's okay.
Yeah.
No big deal. Like, Seth's not mad that he didn't get married to the last lady he dated.
Right.
I mean, it's life, right? And I know that sounds...
How do you know I'm not mad?
I don't know. But I think it's important to think of it that way. And there's a lot to the conversation. It's not just the infatuation part. But actually, again, like you said, because he asked very specifically, how did you know you wanted to get married? Like, what advice would you give him if he was...
How did I know? This isn't going to be helpful. I didn't. So, sorry. Like, I talk to young people all the time, like in counseling and stuff.
What made you get engaged then? What made you propose? You bought a ring. Somebody knew what was up. Was it the Lord?
The Lord.
The Lord.
So hold on, let me finish my thought. Like I talk to young people all the time, and like I remember being young and having so much anxiety of like, where do I gotta go to school? I gotta get a job. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I don't know. I don't feel like I had teachers as a young person to be like, slow down, man. Things are going to work out, okay? Trust in yourself. Trust in your higher power. For me, it was God, right? Like, hey, things are going to be okay. You will be taken care of, right? You know, be still and know that I am God. Subtract it all the way down to be. You just have to be. Oh, wow. Okay, that's big. So, like, in marrying you, it was like, this is the right next step. Like, we're talking with our coach right now. What is the right next step? I can do a million things. I didn't have to get married. I could date 1,000 people. It didn't matter. I was in a band. Easy, right? So, what is the right next step? I felt that that was the right next step. Other people may not have felt that, but I did for me.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of almost an easy decision. There was a lot of turmoil around it and a lot of back and forth. Not really back and forth, like, call off the wedding. I don't remember ever saying that.
You did try to reschedule the wedding.
Reschedule, not call off the wedding. Because I was like, I don't know. Things were whatever. But I don't know where I was going with that. Infatuation doesn't mean love. Yes, I agree with that. Let's see. A list works better than a nag. Oh,
that's a
girlfriend. Are you kidding? Melanie didn't know that.
That's a person named Paul, not a woman.
Boyfriend.
Yeah, I think that going back to the marriage thing, there's an element of knowing how assured you are in yourself and your choices that is a part to play here. And the way that I grew up is that my dad was, my parents were both like, you'll be fine no matter what. Like, if you get addicted to drugs, you'll have somewhere to go. If you don't go to college, you'll be fine. I want you to go to college, but you'll be fine. Like, there was this whole, like,
that sounds somewhat
the universe. No. The universe has your back a little bit, is how my parents
Rachel
were.
Hollis.
Not Rachel Hollis. Come on. Gabby Bernstein. Get it right.
Oh.
But I think there's something to be said about how you feel about yourself and your own choices and your ability to make them. I don't know that that's helpful. But anyway, regardless, doesn't matter. Thank you for the question, though.
Yeah.
And y'all, seriously, send us your questions. You can go to hello at Anatomy of Marriage, or you can Facebook them to us, Instagram them to us.
Yes. Okay. So every, like, literal thousands of people who will hear this podcast, because we see the numbers, which is awesome. When you write in questions,
make them shorter.
Make them a little bit shorter. I'm not saying anything to these questions today, but it does take a long time to read. And as a therapist, I want to know the backstory, and I've probably prompted you to say, well, I don't know the backstory, and as a therapist, I can't really, assess
say
this
that all the
whole
time.
situation.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I think, but let's make it short and sweet, because we are getting so many emails that sometimes we can't respond to all of them. We want to answer the questions on the show, and you can help us do that by
being concise.
Which
I know is really hard, and we're not trying to be...
No, we're not trying to be weirdos, And if you're really having a huge problem or whatever, write it. I'll read it. That's fine.
Another thing, too, is to get into our...
Christina, no, we're not talking about you. We're not
now
saying
all
that,
the nines are going to be like, oh, my email was too long.
Right. That's why I'm saying, okay, it's fine. We want to...
No. But also another great thing, too, is be in our men's and women's groups, our Facebook pages, because these are great places to share all of that. People want to read all of that. It's just that we can't read it on the show as concisely because we're terrible readers. But it would be really amazing for you guys to be in our Facebook groups, our private groups, and to share and to encourage one another on, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, and you want to know what I just thought of, and holy cow, 38 minutes. Jeez, we can talk. So maybe we should do a couple of live streams of tomorrow night's AUM Seattle meetup. You know?
I don't know.
Just a little kind of stuff. I'm sure Paul will be live streaming because
I hope Paul brought his audio.
He's so awesome. And maybe do a live podcast or something like that, just to let you guys know how much fun we're having and that you should come to our events.
So her twos. Yep, I felt like my review was too long. Nope, it's not what we mean.
No.
But yeah, and another thing too we want to mention before we wrap up is that we are getting our premarital series all tidied up and with the bows on it to sell and to get out into this world, and we're super excited about it. And we suck at marketing and promoting. We're just not good at it. That's why we got a coach. And so we want to share with you that we are working on that. So if you have recently married friends, engaged friends, people who are considering getting married, this video series, and it's an entire podcast season, y'all. 7+ hours of an actual podcast that no one else is getting access to. That's right. You've got to buy the work. It's called the Best Premarital Series Ever. You have to get that to get the podcast season. We'll probably sell it individually in case
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
want the podcast season, but it's so cool. We're going to air an interview with the people who did this show with us, Ryan and Krista.
Mm-hmm.
They were our like test subjects, our guinea pigs. But it's really exciting. We want to share it with you and kind of get it into your brain because it's coming out very soon. We're super jazzed about it.
Okay, one thing. So, and I was planning to do this to give the location away, but I wanted to track it through email and stuff. So we are meeting at a place called Rheinhaus
In Seattle.
Seattle, right? And it's a German place.
Say it
and
right.
it's
Rheinhaus.
Rheinhaus,
German.
right? Rhinehaus. Rheinhaus, Seattle. So that's where it is. Let's see. She's Real Retreat. That's where it is. And let's see. I think that's all.
Yeah. So
Getting FOMO since I can't make it to the thing. Hey, that's okay. So
we'll try to make videos.
yeah. Well,
But
a lot of people want to see it, so they'll tune in.
The Rheinhaus is real. We've been to the one in Tacoma, so I don't know how different they are, but it was so freaking fun.
Yeah.
Like you can play bocce ball, you can play shuffleboard, you can
Yep.
have giant steins of beer
Yeah.
and huge pretzels with amazing sauce.
It'll be like we're in Germany,
Yes.
so it'll be fun. So, all right. The old Von Traps. Nice. Yeah, I think that is the place. So it's in Seattle, Rheinhaus, Seattle.
Rheinhaus.
You can go to rheinhausseattle.com if you want to check it out to see what you're missing.
But you
And-
have to sign up because we had to get reservations. Seattle is a very busy city. And
That's
so
right.
if you
So-
don't sign up, you're going to be outside on the streets.
All right,
standing
we
there.
love you guys, and tune in tomorrow for tomorrow morning show, and then tune in tomorrow night. Hey, Mariner. So we love you guys. Stay awesome. Go to anatomyofmarriage.com for more info. All right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
Anatomyofmarriage.com.
Well, I wanted to promote something different,
Yeah.
so getting FOMO since I can't make it. That's okay, Mary.
It'd be so fun.
I don't
We'll
remember.
have more. I had this idea since we're still all here.
Mm-hmm.
We should do a touring show. One, like a party, just a party.
Mm-hmm.
And we karaoke. Would that not be the funnest thing? But
That
like
would be
legit karaoke, like on a stage. And I would sing and you would sing and then anyone could sing. And then I
Mm-hmm.
want to do touring weddings. I want to do mass weddings where we just like, it's a party and we become wedding people. What's it called? We get our like,
Make people get married?
yeah. We get our Make People Get Married certification. And
Hey,
we
it's
do weddings.
Faye the Blair. Ha.
Wouldn't that be
Faith
so
Blair.
cool?
I know. So let's see. My friends sign off on her.
YouTube. It says,
Stay awesome, be you, and keep living Jesus. Bye.
bye. That's really
That's
funny.
funny. I think our new saying is
You got this.
No, you got this, and we got you, or something
You've
like
got
that.
this, and we've got your back.
Yeah,
Karaoke is my favorite pastime. Not kidding.
good. It's
I
fun.
love that kind of stuff.
All right, we got to go, people. Love you. See you tomorrow.
Tamari. Bye.
Bye.